A young, dumb, filthy man interacts with a blindfolded woman who turns out to be the famous and beautiful star lecturer Soo-hyun Kim. Not long ago, Miss Kim looked down on him, but within a month, everything changed. At a boarding school, a homeroom teacher holds class with her students. She praises a student with a perfect score, then turns to Soo-hyun. She criticizes him harshly, saying his Korean is worse than his English, even though he is not a foreigner. She points out that everyone else scored perfectly while he alone struggles with mistakes. She continues to speak down to him, claiming he never takes responsibility and always makes excuses. She even says that medical accidents happen because of people like him who push themselves into medical school without the ability to handle it. Soo-hyun sits there, wondering why he has to listen to this. The teacher lecturing him is none other than Soo-hyun Kim, the top lecturer at Ghana Cram School. When she first began teaching, many assumed her success came only from her looks. However, her strong teaching skills quickly made her famous, and students retaking college entrance exams often chose Ghana Cram School just to attend her classes. Korean is Soo-hyun's only weak subject, so he also enrolled. She is especially hard on him because they share the same name. She reminds him that finishing last 2 weeks in a row means demotion. This shocks him. She explains the school's level-based system and tells him he cannot keep up with Class S. She advises him to move to Class A, saying it would suit his ability better. She adds that if she were in his place, she would be grinding her teeth in shame and studying out of pure embarrassment. She says she is tired of constantly nagging him and points out that since she will no longer be in charge of him after today, there is no reason to waste any more words on him. With a dismissive wave of her hand, she sends him back to his seat. As Soo-hyun walks back, the weight of her words sinks in. He already knows that if his parents find out he has been demoted at cram school, they will be furious. His father in particular will have no patience for any explanation. Even if Soo-hyun tries to apologize or explain himself, his father will only say that anyone who fails to become a doctor has no place in the family. His father will refuse to listen to excuses, making it clear that the only acceptable outcome is for Soo-hyun to get into Korea Medical School and present the acceptance letter to them. With that in mind, Soo-hyun realizes that the upcoming exam tomorrow will decide everything. If he fails, he might actually be disowned. When he returns to his seat, he notices a small folded note on top of his book. Opening it, he sees that it is a study partner request from the female student sitting beside him. He recognizes her as someone unusually persistent, and he can't help but think about how much determination it must take for her to retake the college entrance exam 6 times. The situation feels strange to him because talking between male and female students is strictly forbidden, and individual study sessions are also banned by the school. A thought crosses his mind that she might simply be trying to get rid of a competitor. But Soo-hyun cannot afford to risk messing up the exam again because of a girl, so he crumples the note in his hand and decides to ignore it completely. Later that day, he lies in his dorm room, groaning in exhaustion. His roommate, Taemin Park, who is from Class D and comes from a wealthy family, notices his state. Taemin, whose own goal is to enter a university in Seoul, casually remarks that Soo-hyun's class seems to be working themselves to death. Soo-hyun replies that if he dies from overwork, it will be entirely the fault of his homeroom teacher, who never stops pressuring him. Taemin laughs at this and claims that being constantly scolded by her is actually a reward. He points out that there are plenty of students who dream of joining Class S for that very reason, calling it a privilege to be cursed at by the so-called Ice Princess. Taemin even admits that he wishes he were in Class S himself. Soo-hyun finds this attitude baffling and wonders aloud why so many people praise a teacher who treats her students so harshly. Taemin grins and explains that Class S is also famous for having many beautiful girls, with one in particular, Rahi-do, standing out. He notes that Rahi is the same girl who constantly bothers Soo-hyun with requests for partner study. Soo-hyun advises his friend to focus entirely on his studies and avoid creating unnecessary trouble, making it clear that the upcoming exams are too important for distractions. Taemin, however, ignores the seriousness in his tone and, with a playful grin, suddenly hooks Soo-hyun into an arm lock. He insists that he can handle his own studies just fine, but all he wants from Soo-hyun is an introduction to Rahi. Soohyun refuses without hesitation, reminding him that such a move could risk getting them expelled, and quickly taps out from the hold to signal surrender. Taemin finally releases him, acting as though nothing serious happened, and casually mentions that he picked up Soohyun's package earlier when collecting his own. He adds that the dorm supervisor has already inspected it, so there's no problem opening it now. This surprises Soohyun because Taemin almost never bothers with anyone else's deliveries and only ever collects his own. When Taemin asks if he wants to hang out for a while, Soohyun declines, saying he needs to prepare for the exam tomorrow. He reminds Taemin that if he gets demoted again, his life will essentially be over. As he finally opens the package, his expression changes sharply, catching Taemin's attention. Taemin immediately asks what is wrong, but Soohyun brushes it off, claiming it is nothing. Later, Soohyun is alone in the bathroom, staring at the package with unease. What lies inside shocks him. It is a prohibited item, something the school only makes available in advance to VIP students with special access. He turns it over in his hands, frowning, and wonders if it could possibly be meant for him. When he checks the label and carefully reads the name, realization hits him suddenly. Just as the thought forms in his mind, a loud bang echoes against his door, startling him. The sharp voice that follows is one he instantly recognizes. It belongs to his homeroom teacher, Miss Kim. Soohyun is in the restroom when the sudden sound of loud banging echoes against the door. He calls out that he is using the bathroom, but the voice that answers belongs to Miss Kim, his homeroom teacher. She asks if he received a package, and when he replies and that he has already opened it, her tone sharpens. She warns him that any prohibited item will be confiscated immediately. Soohyun explains that the dorm supervisor already checked it, but missed that. Kim insists that as his homeroom teacher, she must personally examine it. She demands that he hand it over at once and even adds that if the contents are prohibited, he will be expelled without hesitation. Standing there, Soohyun begins to suspect her intentions. The thought creeps into his mind that Miss Kim might be trying to pin the prohibited item on him, and a chilling question follows. What if she is really planning to use this as an excuse to have him expelled? Before he can think further, Miss Kim manages to get inside. Her expression is tense, and she demands to know why it took him so long to answer the door. Her eyes quickly fall on the opened package, and one of the nearby students comments, almost defensively, that it is addressed to Soohyun and that he has been waiting a full week for it to arrive. Without hesitation, Miss Kim snatches the heck of the package from his hands, tearing away the last bit of wrapping. She peers inside, only to find an electric razor. Her brow furrows, and she fixes her gaze back on him, asking again if this is truly the only package he has received. Soohyun says it is, but she narrows her eyes and tells him to be honest, offering to let him off with only a warning if he admits to more. He points out that she has never checked his packages before, so why suddenly now? Her response is curt and unwavering. She claims it is a surprise inspection. She orders him to step aside and begins scanning the area, looking for anything he might be hiding. As her gaze sweeps the room, she delivers another blow, telling him that if he is unwilling to follow the rules or study properly, then he should never have planned to retake the exam in the first place. She ends with a cutting remark, saying it is always the foolish ones who end up breaking the rules. As Miss Kim searches through the room, her eyes land on the prohibited item tucked away inside the bathroom closet. Her expression hardens instantly. She turns to Soohyun with a look of finality and tells him that he has just blown his last chance. She says she will personally make sure his parents hear every detail about why he is being expelled. The words send a jolt of shock through him, but before he can respond, the bathroom door opens and Mr. Cho, the dorm supervisor, steps in. Mr. Cho's brows lift in mild surprise when he sees Miss Kim there and asks what she is doing since it isn't curfew yet. For a moment, she seems at a loss for words. He then asks if she is carrying out package inspections, stating that he has already checked all deliveries himself and that there should be no issues. Ms. Kim quickly recovers, explaining that the student is from her class and that she was simply doing a bit of counseling and inspecting his belongings, as he is still new and might not be fully aware of the school's rules. Mr. Cho turns his attention to Soohyun, giving him a sharp glare, then assures Miss Kim that she doesn't need to worry because he has the students under control. He changes the subject, asking how things are at the staff dorms. Mentioning that he is overseeing them this year, He tells her that he will be stopping by soon to check in. Miss Kim's face flickers with slight disappointment, but she replies that everything is fine. Mr. Cho insists that he still needs to make sure the staff dorms are well taken care of and adds that this goes double for her. With that, Miss Kim snaps at Soo-hyun to pack his things and get ready for self-study. She leaves alongside Mr. Cho, who casually remarks that Soo-hyun happens to share the same name as her. She responds curtly that this is the reason she has been paying extra attention to him. Once they are gone, Soo-hyun exhales deeply, relief washing over him. Under his breath, he mutters that for a moment he thought he was caught, but the dorm supervisor had unknowingly saved him. The relief quickly turns to frustration as he clenches his fists, furious at the way Miss Kim had tried to pin the prohibited item on him, despite the fact that she was the one who had been using it. Later in the day, Miss Kim sits in the staff room with another teacher, the two of them sharing a quiet coffee break. The female teacher speaks first, mentioning that she is feeling concerned about the students' scores for next week's mock exams. She then adds, with a reassuring tone, that Miss Kim has nothing to worry about and casually asks how many students she plans to send to Korea Medical School this year, reminding her that the chairman has high expectations since she always produces outstanding results. Miss Kim gives a polite smile but downplays the praise, insisting that she cannot let her guard down because teachers at other academies work just as hard and competition is fierce. In reality, those results are the last thing on her mind at the moment. As the conversation continues, her thoughts drift elsewhere, circling back to the earlier incident. She cannot understand why her package would be delivered to someone with the same name as her in the first place, and she even considers the possibility that the dorm supervisor might have taken it while inspecting deliveries. The thought makes her grip her coffee cup a little tighter. She feels a growing urgency to find out who has it before whispers start circulating among the staff and students. In a place like this boarding school, where schedules are rigid and entertainment is scarce, that particular item was her only source of personal amusement, and losing it is not something she is willing to overlook. The female teacher notices a slight crease in Miss Kim's brow and mistakes it for work-related stress. She remarks that it must be the department head giving her trouble again. She complains that despite the fact he does not even handle homeroom duties, he is constantly putting pressure on them about performance results. She recounts that earlier in the day, he was upset about students becoming too relaxed and ended up taking it out on the teachers, saying they need to run the school like the military. Miss Kim's attention shifts, and she asks what exactly happened to cause that reaction. The teacher leans in slightly, lowering her voice, and says that something unusual was found in the boys' dorms, prompting the administration to tighten room inspections. This immediately makes Miss Kim straighten slightly in her seat. She asks with a hint of alarm what it could have been. The teacher shrugs, explaining that, judging from the department head's anger, it was almost certainly something illegal. She adds that the student apparently confessed outright and even brought the questionable item directly to the teacher's office. At that moment, Miss Kim feels her pulse quicken. A single thought flashes through her mind. What if that student was Soo-hyun? The possibility jolts her into action, and she abruptly pushes back her chair, rising to her feet, until she reaches the door of the teacher's office. Just as she is about to enter, the door swings open, and Mr. Cho steps out. Both freeze in surprise at the sight of each other. She asks him directly what he is doing in the teacher's office. For a brief moment, he looks as though he is about to explain, but instead, he simply says it is nothing, and walks away without another word. Still puzzled, Miss Kim proceeds inside and goes straight to her desk. There, she notices a package box placed neatly on top. When she opens it, she is greeted not by documents or confiscated items, but by a banana with a folded note tucked inside. She stares at it for a moment, suspicion creeping in. Could this be the dorm supervisor's doing? Is this why he was at the office just now? Unfolding the note, she reads a short but pointed message. A threat to report her to the chairman about the prohibited item unless she meets the writer in the basement storage room of the main building after evening roll call. Her jaw tightens as she rereads the words. The tone, she thinks, reeks of Mr. Cho. It must be him. Later that evening, she stands outside the basement storage room, her arms crossed and her mind working through what she plans to say. She tells herself it is all just a misunderstanding, and once she clears the air, this will be over. Pushing open the door, she steps inside, only to realize instantly that the room is empty. Mr. Cho is nowhere in sight. What she does find, however, is a single chair in the middle of the room and the prohibited item placed neatly on it. Relief mixes with urgency as she strides forward, grabs it, and turns to leave before he arrives. But when she tries the door, the handle refuses to turn. It is locked from the outside. Her eyes narrow, and then she spots another note taped to the wall. Peeling it off, she reads its brief, infuriating instruction. Use it. A surge of rage boils up inside her, and she curses aloud. 3 hours earlier, Soo-yeon is standing in the dormitory, his mind working through the possible consequences of his actions. He understands that a single misstep could easily result in his expulsion, yet the thought that there must be a way to turn the situation to his advantage keeps gnawing at him. As he is caught up in his thoughts, an announcement from the department head echoes through the building, drawing immediate groans and mutters of discontent from the students. The announcement carries a sharp reminder that far too many students have already accumulated demerits in the past week, followed by a strict declaration that conversation and unnecessary physical contact between male and female students are prohibited. It is made clear that those who choose to continue dating will do so at the risk of piling up demerits and facing inevitable expulsion. This prompts Soo-hyun to suspect that yet again, someone has been caught breaking the rules. He begins to contemplate whether this might be the perfect opportunity to present the department head with an irresistible piece of bait, curious to observe the reaction it might provoke. With a slow, deliberate motion, he starts scribbling something onto a piece of paper, his mind already plotting the outcome. Elsewhere, Miss Kim is losing her composure entirely over a banana-shaped package accompanied by a threatening letter, her agitation rising with every passing second. In this moment of heightened tension, the department head arrives, having taken the bait completely, and makes his entrance with impeccable timing. His expression carries the weight of authority and barely restrained irritation as he addresses Miss Kim, holding up 2 confiscated books. He reminds her that this is only a single day into the semester, and already such questionable material is making its way around the dormitories. Although he has received a confession from one student and decided to overlook it for now, he makes it clear that Ms. Kim must start enforcing discipline without delay. He warns her that if the pass rate of the entrance exams drops, the blame will fall entirely on her shoulders. A statement she can only acknowledge in tense silence. Her mind flickers with suspicion, wondering what Mr. Cho might be scheming in the background. The department head's gaze then lands on the package resting on her desk, prompting him to ask whether she confiscated it. In a nervous attempt to avoid further trouble, she claims it belongs to her. Without missing a beat, he informs her that she will now be responsible for managing the boys' dormitory, and warns that should such incidents occur again, she will be held personally accountable. From a hidden vantage point, Soo-hyun watches the exchange unfold, his eyes glinting with satisfaction. The sight of Miss Kim being sternly reprimanded fills him with a deep, almost vindictive pleasure, yet the feeling does not satisfy him completely. Soo-hyun stands just outside the door, the sharp, repetitive thud of heavy banging echoing through the hallway. From inside, Miss Kim's voice rings out, demanding that the door be opened, her tone sharpened with anger and desperation. She even threatens to call the police the moment she gets out. The ferocity in her voice catches him slightly off guard. She is fighting back harder than he had anticipated. Still, he reassures himself that there is no way she could suspect him, as she would naturally believe the culprit to be Mr. Cho. Her voice continues, filled with escalating threats, and the pounding against the door grows more forceful. The corners of Soo-hyun's mouth curl upward into a grin as he imagines the desperate expression she must be wearing at this very moment. Even though he cannot see her face, he pictures it vividly, savoring the mental image. To him, this is poetic justice. If she had chosen to live like a decent person, she would never have found herself in such a humiliating situation. He decides to keep her locked in for a while longer before granting her freedom, letting her stew in her own frustration. But then the noise stops abruptly. The silence that follows is sharp and unnatural, immediately setting his nerves on edge. A sudden thought grips him. What if she has actually called the police? Anxiety prickles at the back of his neck. He leans closer to the door, straining to catch any sound from within, but there is nothing. Acting quickly, he slips the key into the lock and turns it, reasoning that if the situation escalates any further, it could spiral out of his control. He eases the door open just enough to peek inside and is taken aback by the sight before him. She is actually carrying out the action he had requested earlier, something she had initially refused with firm defiance. Moments later, she stops and seems to register that the door is no longer shut. A flicker of confusion crosses her face as she appears to wonder how long it has been open. Without hesitation, she steps out into the corridor, her voice carrying a promise that she will not let this go unpunished. From his hidden vantage point, Suyun watches her move away, his body tense until she disappears from view. Relief washes over him. He had come dangerously close to being discovered.